everyone, I am Masha and I am filming this video today to feature a rather unusual tarot deck to the Marseille inclined me. Unusual because in my hands I have an outstanding reproduction of the Éliphas Lévi's personal tarot deck completed by one of my most trusted card makers, Marco Benedetti. Now, why personal deck? Why Levi's personal deck, you may ask? Well, because it contains drawings, inscriptions, and comments by Éliphas Lévi by his hands. And mine came in this beautiful wrapper. I'm actually a little nervous about making this video today because the 100 cards which are contained in this beautiful handmade box and which constitute the personal Levi's deck, they are filled with so much esoteric symbolism and Kabbalistic references of which I have very, very base knowledge of, even if that. So I am in no way well versed in the work of Éliphas Lévi, in occult tarot in general, and in application of Kabbalah and Tree of Life to tarot. But I'm still here and I am sort of kind of ready to share this set with you, as I truly believe that this is a very important body of work and a very valuable offering to us tarot students, those of us who are interested in occult and occult tarot, and to tarot collectors. And this beautiful set, of course, as I mentioned, was brought to us by Marco Benedetti. There is a lot to discuss when it comes to La Clavicule de Salomon, Le Protée de Rosequois by Éliphas Lévi. It was very brave of me to try, but yes, a lot to talk about when it comes to the personal deck of Éliphas Lévi, including the insightful booklet which is contained inside, and of course 100 cards. But then there is also Marco's masterful craftsmanship with which this set was produced and with which I would like to begin with today. Just look at this handmade book style box. This box is way above any handmade tarot boxes I have ever seen. It's rather breathtaking, really. Its cover, as you can see, is of an elegant rich navy color with a delicate dose of metallic that comes through quite nicely on my camera. And on the front of the cover of the box, we are here with the two titles of the two works of Éliphas Lévi, which the cards we are soon to see are a part of. The closure of this box is magnetic and the cards are housed very safely inside the polished wooden part of this book style box. Let's have a look how stunning it is, and it's quite heavy as well. Really impressive. And bravo, Marco. Inside of the box, and I will read in English not to strain your ears with my attempts at French. So here we read Éliphas Lévi Tarot, reproduction made by hand by Marco Benedetti with Marco's signature. This is the first limited edition to 50 copies, with mine being 2 out of 50, with the cards made in Rome in December December this year. So this deck has only just been made by Marco with the permission from the Ici les Molinets Playing Card Museum in Paris or near Paris. The set also comes with the booklet containing an essay by Gwenella Boucher, who is the curator of the Ici Museum. The essay, written in French, is titled in English The Universal Alphabet of the Tarot, and was translated by Marco Benedetti for us to enjoy and learn from. So half of the booklet is in French and the other half of the booklet is in English. And even though the booklet is only 22 pages, if we exclude quite extensive bibliography here, which is a good reference in itself, but let me tell you, even though the booklet is only small, it's very informative, and I will certainly be referring to it throughout the video. Now to Éliphas Lévi. Éliphas Lévi, or shall I say Éliphas Lévi Zahed, is a pseudonym of Alphonse Louis Constant, who was born in 1810 and who was a renowned French occultist and a ceremonial magician. Referred to as the renovator of occultism, which I learned from this booklet, Éliphas Lévi is considered to be one of the most influential figures in French esoterics, and the person who is attributed with the development of esoteric and with that Kabbalistic associations with tarot. Now, Éliphas Lévi had a formal training in Catholicism, as he trained in priesthood before realizing celibacy was not for him. He was then involved in political activism, which landed him in jail before receiving his Kabbalistic initiation at the age of 43. That's my age now. And then he took on his pseudonym Éliphas Lévi and dedicated his life's work to esotericism, one of the results of which we are here with today in the form of these 100 cards. The original of the tarot of Éliphas Lévi is kept, as I mentioned before, the Ici Playing Card Museum in its original form, and it is a set of two small photo albums in which 92 cards are overlaid with the handwritten personal card references by Éliphas Lévi. So I'll just show you an up-close photo here that Marco sent me. So that's a little album, and that's how the photos are inserted, right? Like little insertions being made for the cards to be placed into those albums. So they're not necessarily photos, they're more like a card album, right? But in the size of a small photo album. And those cards, they contain handwritten personal card references by Éliphas Lévi. And it is the titles of these two albums, La Clavicule de Salomon and Le Proté des Rose-Croix, that we see in gold on this beautiful box. It would be so cool to see those albums on a display in that Ici Museum, maybe one day. Meanwhile, I will link for you the museum video featuring the display I have just mentioned, which Marco also shared on his Facebook page, and I will include the link for you in the description of this video below. Now we can finally explore these 100 cards. It's really handy that Marco included two ribbons to separate. So these ones are extra added 22 cards. right? 22 plus 78 cards. There, second layer at the bottom, 22 plus 78, making it 100. And yeah, so from a Tarot de Marseille deck. So yes, 100 cards in total, 8 of which are Éliphas Lévi's own drawings, where the remaining 14 cards combined are derived from a Spanish playing card deck and an esoteric book by Louise Gaultier. And that leaves us with 78 remaining cards, which are the complete historic Tarot de Marseille with handwritten inscriptions, notes by Éliphas Lévi himself. Let's have a look at the 78 cards first before we tackle the extra 22, as also, as you know, Tarot de Marseille is my comfort zone. And in Eliphas Levi's case, it was the charming, historic Bernardine Suzanne Tarot de Marseille, which he made his own through these handwritten, hand-drawn editions we will observe in a moment. We are card people here, so let me take a minute to gush over Marco's handmade cards, printed on the highest quality laid paper with the best colors too. While I sort of know, I still kind of don't really know how Marco accomplishes such excellent colors in the decks he makes and achieves his best shuffle. I'm just thrilled to have these cards. So as I bring the magician up close under the light and closer to my camera, here you can see the beautiful texture that this laid paper, which Marco Benedetti uses, has. And like my other handmade Tarot de Marseille decks from Marco, the paper, as you can see with the lines, right, the paper has the vertical orientation unique to Marco's decks only, especially his Tarot de Marseille decks. As most people I know who do make cards by hand, they print them in the horizontal orientation. So just absolutely lovely, and they feel so lovely, so good. And the backs of the cards are a facsimile of the original Bernardine Suzanne deck of 1839. The paper in itself is beautiful and airy and light, and just here the sound of these cards. I will give them a shuffle at the end of the video to demonstrate. Okay, we made it. As you can see immediately on the magician card, we are here with the letters from a Hebrew alphabet, which of course will be present in all of the cards in the major arcana. So 22 letters are in Hebrew alphabet, 22 trump cards. Did I tell you that I actually studied Hebrew as a part of my degree in linguistics? But that was 20 years ago now. But still, I think the revision of the alphabet never hurts. So we begin here with Le Batailleur and Aleph. Oh yes, when assigning the Hebrew letters to the trumps, Éliphas Lévi chose to rank them in the order of the Hebrew alphabet. So with magician being Arcanum 1, magician corresponds to the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet being Aleph. And then here we see Emmanuel, the name which means God with us. Here we see the imprinted initiable, so initiate, and you will see a lot of scribbles like that throughout the deck, a lot of inclusions, and above I still need to decipher Éliphas Lévi's handwriting, but those details make these cards special. And this is Arcanum 2, and as per what I have just mentioned, this Arcanum corresponds to the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is Bet for the purpose. And here we see the reference to Sophie, perhaps Sophia personifying wisdom, la foi, faith. And also we do see planetary references in these cards. I also very much adore the rosy cheeks the characters feature. I find this detail very charming. And also, while we're here with the two cards, I just want to bring your attention to how Éliphas Lévi drew the corresponding Hebrew letter into the character of the card itself, as he believed that those letters, the Hebrew references, associations, were hidden in the line work of the cards and in the shapes of the characters and their clothing. So we're moving on to Gimel for Arcanum 3. Gimel is the letter, the Empress. Again, I'm not going to point on every card, but just look for yourself. Those Hebrew letters are found and drawn onto the cards. I also very much love the colors. I find them very lively and eye-candy to me personally. So it's a joy for me to go through these cards with you. So with the Emperor, we are here with Dalet. I know that some people may not like the scribbles, but this tarot allows us that glimpse into the working deck of Éliphas Lévi himself, and I personally get very excited about things like that, along with, of course, being curious about deciphering edit messages in the familiar to me Tarot de Marseille images. So the Hierophant Arcanum 5, here we are with He. And Vav for the sixth letter of the alphabet. So Vav is actually hidden in the area of our Cupid, Anael. So yeah, Catholic references, biblical references are here. Angel names, Michael, right, are featured in these cards. And with Chariot, we are with Zion, that's the letter. The horses are transformed into sphinxes in the Levi's deck, well, because of the Egyptian influences. And the charioteer is wearing a triple star crown. In the booklet, Gwenaël Bechet hypothesizes about the possible influence of the Vivial, of the charioteer, from the Vivial tiara on Éliphas Lévi. So the hypothesis is that this kind of anthropomorphic creatures are replaced or transformed into two sphinxes in this deck that features Cheria double CH. One of my friends, kind of, when she saw the card, she was just talking about cha-cha dancing chariot. Right, Justice, Samael, again reference perhaps to an angel or biblical figure, and with 8 being Chet is the letter. Tet is for our hermit. Raphael is the name of the angel. Prudence, some reference to prudence as well in this hermit card. And of course, given Éliphas Lévi's Catholic education and then Kabbalah knowledge and practices, it's not surprising to see these biblical and Torah references in his card. So the Wheel of Fortune, we are here with Yud. Here it is, yeah, on the handle of the wheel. Gabriel for La Force, for the strength. And we are here with Kaf. Cassiel, Crucis, probably Crucis is referring to crucified, reference in something like crucifixion. but the Arcanum 12 is linked with Lamed, Hebrew Lamed, Ishim, and Mem. Mem is the letter for the death card. Cherubim, cherub. Well, their faces are like cherubs, right? Although I know that it doesn't mean that. But those cards are really delightful. I'm really so impressed. So Nun here, the letter Nun, and it's a gesture, right, of pouring, done by the Temperance. And then we have Devil with Samech. And it's interesting here, it says Beni Elohim, which is the sons of gods. You know, I have to research way more into this deck, but I really wanted to do this video to share with you this beautiful cards and this important, really important work and offering from Marco Benedetti. All right, Arcanum 16, Ayin, letter Ayin, and Elohim here once again. The Star, Fe, 17th letter of the more simplified alphabet. Beautiful greens, beautiful yellows, a beautiful, wonderful reproduction and execution by Marco Benedetti. This one is Tzadi and Seraphim. And the moon, so this is of course type 2 Tarot de Marseille. For the sun, we have Hebrew Kof. Just such delicate details, and I do love Bernardine Suzanne for those softer features. It's a lovely Tarot de Marseille in its own, but of course very special with the addition of the inscriptions by the hand of Éliphas Lévi. Judgment card is Resh, and then Tav for this beautifully colored, and I trust probably the colors would have been done. It's not very wood blocky style, right? The colors would have been done by Eliphas Levi. So yeah, Tav is the letter, but Tav is actually the 22nd letter of Hebrew alphabet for the 21st card, so that's the only exception when it comes to the alphabetical order and its correspondences to the numbers of the Arcanum. So what Levi did, he actually gave 21st letter Shin to the Fool before Tav, the world. Let me take a moment to quote from the booklet in English translation by Marco what Eliphas Levi wrote about the 22 trumps and their relationship with the Hebrew alphabet. They, and by they, Eliphas Levi means the 22 letters of the primitive Kabbalistic alphabet. They form the universal alphabet of the tarot and the truth of our assertions when we claim that all the secrets of the Kabbalah and magic, all the mysteries of the ancient world, all the science of the patriarchs, all the historical traditions of primitive times are enclosed in this hieroglyphic book of Thoth, Enoch, and Cadmus. So yeah, those Thoth and Egyptian references, of course, given it's a deck of Eliphas Levi. Now, for those of you who are interested to go to the source, you will find this little booklet that I've been quoting for and referring to, extremely valuable, and the poem actually written by Levi, illustrating the idea of the spiritual journey that tarot illustrates, is included in this booklet also. Now let's have a look at the minors. I know I'm repeating myself, but these cards, they feel really nice in my hands and are very pleasing for my eyes to look at. I'll just do a bit of a quicker walkthrough of those just for you to see. As you can see, they all have numbers, which I'm yet to figure out what those numbers correspond to. I started with the cards, just how Marco sorted the cards, organized the cards. So now we are with the Suit of Cups. But look at the dots on the most minors. I'll just point those to you now. My immediate thought is that these dots, they mark a card in its upright position, and also for us to know when the card is reversed. I mean, in the Suit of Cups is easy, in the Suit of Batons and Swords not so much sometimes, especially if you're a beginner to Marseille style decks. Regina, Isis, Three of Cups. There are a lot of references like that to look into, to study, but I don't remember if I mentioned, it's only the second day that I have these cards in my hands. Back to the cards. So the Suit of Swords, Aries, you see references to different deities. And I very much in love with the slightly blushing faces, as we can see in most of the cards featuring human characters. Yeah, so you see with the swords that will help you to know whether the card is upright or not. I mean, you all know how the cards of the Tarot de Marseille look, but of course every deck features slightly different leafy patterns, floral patterns, how the colors are filled, which is always nice to pay attention to, but perhaps not in today's video. So Hermes for the King of Batons. Of course, you see association with the major arcana perhaps. Love the faces, love the colors. And you can probably hear how the cards glide against each other. So you can see these cards, I think they must be in reverse, right? So you need to put with number 2 and that little dot, squarey dot. Some of them have more square dots there. Serpents, perhaps. And then we are with the coins. Helios. Prudence is the queen of coins. The reference is to this card by Éliphas Lévi. It's the last suit of minors. Coins. Osiris for 3 of coins, or 3. Remember, we had Isis for 3 of cups, and 3 of coins is Osiris. And with this 2 of coins, we are here with the confirmation that the deck of Éliphas Lévi's choice when it comes to Marseille Tarot was this Bernardine Suzanne Tarot, going back to 1839. And then, of course, the Ace of Coins with all the additions by Éliphas Lévi. So yeah, now that we have gone through the 78 out of 100 cards, this big chunk of video is done. We now have 22 cards added by Éliphas Lévi to explore. So these cards are new to me, but also exciting to look at together with you. To make the extra 22 cards, we will first have a look at 8 of Levi's own tarot card drawings, and then we will briefly chat about remaining 14 extra cards. Once again, acknowledging my resources. As I mentioned before, throughout this video, I have been relying on the essay written by Gwenaëlle Boucher and translated by Marco Benedetti. And with these added cards especially, what I am able to say today about them is very much reliant on what I have learned in the last 2 days from this super useful booklet, which I personally am certainly grateful for. So let's go through these 8 cards in the ascending trump sequence, beginning with the Magician being Arcanum 1. And this Magician was done following the model of the Balinese tarot tradition of the 17th century, where the magician was depicted as a street magician with people or children surrounding him. Only that Éliphas Lévi, as you can see, added the suit references to the cards, the baton, the coin, the cup, and the sword, the references that we are probably most familiar seeing in the Rider-Waite-Smith magician. Then Éliphas Lévi for Arcanum 2 and 5 drew from the Besançon tradition, as he added Junon with her peacocks and Jupiter standing on the eagle to represent Arcanum 2 and 5. So the Roman pantheon is represented in these 2 cards. Next, we are with an alternative to the Hermit card depicting an old man with wings and crutches. As if you have been following my Top Tarot Trumps series, right, in the 15th century historic decks, very often the Hermit was referred to as the old man or hunchback. And this card seemingly visibly does follow this tradition. It looked like Éliphas Lévi also drew his inspiration from the earlier decks, which the decks which come to mind is the Michele Tarot, where we have a winged hermit on crutches, or the hermit on crutches on Minchiate hunchback but without wings. This card perhaps references Roman god Saturn, Father Time, and Éliphas Lévi titled this card Le Boiteux, which means the lame man, or perhaps injured or hurt old man. So that's the card for the Hermit. Then for the Sun, Éliphas Lévi drew a child on a horse. The pattern that actually we know from the mid-17th century, 1650s, Vivial tarot, and then tarots that follow the Flemish tradition. So you can see the youth on a horse with a flag. Then for the world, Hermes Trismegistus represents the world in that, the reproduction of the hand-drawn image by Lévi. And this Hermes is a master of tarot. And we read it here, tarot rota, but tarot, he is the master of tarot. And especially if you do have the deck, just make sure that you refer to the poem there. You will know what I mean. And Le Monde is titled The World. Now, having looked at these 6 drawings already, how do you find them, friends? To me, artistically, they are very charming, and they kind of make me wish that Éliphas Lévi had longer on this earth, longer to live. And I wish he actually did create his deck, his own deck, and completed the work that he set to complete. Moving on, so we have 2 more hand drawings by Lévi. So this card, as you can see, La Mélancolie, is called the Melancholy, and again, referring to my little tool for today. This card possibly is inspired by the 16th century painting by Dürer called Melancholia. So it's a winged person here with the laurels there as well. And our last card that Éliphas Lévi drew himself is called a Sphinx, as the kind of more formal name, I guess, is as consistently deck carries the title at the bottom, but then we see Hermes at the top as well. And the Sphinx is androgynous, and we are here with references to Arcanum 1, the Le Batelot Magician, 3 Empress, 7 Charioteer, 9 Hermit, 14 Temperance, and 21 the World. Also, what we see here, that the suits are represented once again: the coin, the cup, the baton, and the sword, and those objects, right, that signify the suits are held in the claws of this Sphinx. Then this tarot also comes with 5 additional cards from the Spanish Alouette playing card deck. So we have here Ace of Coins, which showcases an eagle on top of the coin, and we read here Unitas Universalis, universal unity. Then 4 of Coins features the Seal of Solomon in the middle, and it's the title of the card as well. Where 5 of Coins card is titled L'amour, love, in Éliphas Lévi's handwriting, I assume, with the center coin featuring a couple in their embrace. Then we have 2 of Cups with that kind of bull or cow, and the name of the card is La Vie, life, the life. And 3 of Cups, La Mère, is the mother, and here we are with the female bust and 2 storks and the flowers as well. And now with that we have reached the last 9 cards, which Éliphas Lévi borrowed from an esoteric book published by Louis Gaultier in 1826. So these cards I absolutely need to look into more, and I can't even guess what's on those cards, right? So I'll just kind of briefly show you. So in the first card we see here the Magician with that familiar, that I can recognize, familiar first letter of Hebrew alphabet Aleph, as we've seen included in the tarot pack. The second image is the bat, so again we can probably guess here reference to the poipus or high priestess here with the crescent moon and a crown, and the letter referring to the second letter of alphabet referring to the second arcanum. Then this image, when it comes to the Hebrew letter, it's Zayin, and in seventh letter, so it refers to charioteer, but as much as I can say. Then we have card number 7 with all the symbols around that for us to decipher. Planetary symbol as well. So if you do recognize any, please do let me know in the comments. Next is Ein, or perhaps representing lovers, I don't know. Then this symbol is not very familiar, but then we have a person lying down with the arrow over them. Then we have a crown, so again it refers to a regal figure, and with this letter Dalet, we can confirm it. Perhaps this card refers to Arcanum 4, the Emperor. Then we have number 5. Again, next card that may need a lot of research from my part. And the last card, visually, it does look a bit like a temple, right, with the big he, suggesting to Arcanum 5, the Pope or Hierophant. Hierophant is written here, something like higher or whatever. But we see B and J, right? The letters that we see in Rider-Waite-Smith deck on the High Priestess card. So these 14 extra cards are smaller in their original form, and that presented Marco with a challenge and a choice. So as you can see, Marco scaled these extra cards to match the size of the original Marseille tarot, and he included the same bag, the Bernardine Suzanne bag, to make the whole deck of 100 cards now more congruent. All right, one thing is left, and that is to test how these cards shuffle. I have a good clue, given it's a handmade deck from Marco Benedetti, but still I've promised you to demonstrate, and on some days I do leave to shuffle my cards. I love shuffling cards. Now, a warning to those of you, my friends, who don't find riffle shuffle pleasing. It's time for you to step away, to close your eyes, to take 6 deep breaths, my friends, while I do my corner riffle, and I'll just shuffle the Marseille part, the Tarot de Marseille part of this deck, 78 cards, as I don't want to mix the extra cards in. And let's listen. The sound of this card is just so comforting to my ears. And not only these cards are an absolute delight to look at, but they also have a tactile excellence factor. I'm certainly very pleased with them. So I'll just to demonstrate how the cards look next to each other, I'll do 2 rows of 3 cards. And usually I do this type of 2 rows of 3 cards when I do questions about options, like what to do, this or that, which team would win, this one or that one, although probably not very occult of me to ask those questions. Just giving you a demo, right? Like as a card layout, when I usually pull 2 rows of 3 cards. And there we have it. Beautiful cards on their own, but also a part of such an important deck, historically released, I trust, for the first time, the personal cards of Éliphas Lévi, and an absolute wonderful offering from Marco Benedetti. And here we are, all the way through our journey through the whopping 100 cards of Éliphas Lévi's personal tarot deck, with my copy being number 2. I'm so grateful to you, Marco, for locating the special magical favorite number of mine to my copy. If you guys couldn't have guessed, I'm absolutely thrilled with this new addition to my tarot library, and I cannot recommend it enough. And this is coming from me, who has the most minimal knowledge of occult and of Kabbalistic and astrological applications to tarot cards. But look, at the end of the day, I still have my trusted Marseille, which is kind of adjusted, adopted, added, but still contained in the set to fall back to. But look, on a serious note, I truly think that this is an important work historically, from a historic perspective, and this also has been, in my view, an outstanding collaboration, outstanding result of a collaboration between Rome-based card maker Marco Benedetti, Paris-based EC Museum, and the museum's curator Gwenaëlle Boucher, not to mention how aesthetically pleasing and excellently executed this handmade set is. I know Marco has opened now pre-orders for the second edition, second limited edition of this tarot, as the first one I just sold out within one day, and I was very fortunate that I could get my copy of this tarot. Yes, Marco's Facebook page is included already for you in the description of the video below, along with Marco's email if you need to contact him in regards to this set or any other decks that he makes by hand all the way from Rome. Alright, I think I have covered everything I had in my notes. I hope you enjoyed this video, my tarot friends, and I cannot wait to hear from you in the comments. I wish you the most wonderful holiday season. Ciao!